The anniversary party was held at the Waterfront Club, all white tablecloths and crystal chandeliers, with views of the harbor stretching out beyond floor-to-ceiling windows. 200 guests filled the ballroom, celebrating my parents' 25 years of marriage. I sat at a table near the back, wearing a simple navy dress I'd bought on sale 3 years ago. My sister, Amanda, held court at the family table near the front, her designer gown shimmering under the lights. Her husband, Brett, looked appropriately successful in his tailored suit. I'd arrived late and planned to leave early. These family events were always the same, a performance where everyone played their assigned roles. Amanda was the successful daughter. I was the disappointment. The speeches started after dinner. Uncle Richard talked about how he'd introduced my parents at a college party. Mom's best friend shared embarrassing dating stories. Then Dad stood up, tapping his champagne glass to get everyone's attention. "Thank you all for being here tonight," he began. His voice was warm, confident. The voice of a man who'd built a successful accounting practice from nothing. 25 years ago I married the love of my life. Together we built a beautiful family and a good life. Applause rippled through the room. Mom beamed from her seat. "As part of tonight's celebration," Dad continued, "I want to announce some exciting news about our family's future." My stomach tightened. I knew what was coming. "Many of you know about our beach house in Malibu," Dad said. "My father bought it in 1975, and it's been in our family for nearly 50 years. It's where we spent every summer, where our girls learned to swim, where we've made countless memories." Amanda was smiling, her hand clutched in Brett's. She knew what was coming too. "The house is worth approximately $4 million now," Dad continued. "And I'm pleased to announce that we're passing it on to our daughter Amanda and her family." The room erupted in applause. People turned to congratulate Amanda, who stood and hugged both parents. Brett shook Dad's hand enthusiastically. "Amanda has always been responsible," Dad said over the noise. "She's built a successful career, married well, and given us 2 beautiful grandchildren. We know the beach house will be in good hands with her." More applause. Amanda was crying happy tears now, accepting hugs from relatives. No one looked at me. No one even glanced in my direction. I took a sip of water and stayed quiet. The party continued for another 2 hours. I endured congratulatory conversations where people gushed about Amanda's good fortune, endured pointed questions about my own life that were really just opportunities for judgment. "Still working at that bookstore?" Aunt Susan asked. "Still single?" Cousin Jennifer inquired with fake sympathy. "Must be nice having a sister so successful," a family friend said, not realizing how the words stung. I smiled through all of it. Then I slipped out around 10 p.m. while Dad was giving another toast. No one noticed me leave. I drove home to my small apartment in Santa Monica, a 1-bedroom place with outdated fixtures and a view of the parking lot. Or at least that's what my family thought I had. In reality, I lived in a 3-bedroom penthouse I owned in a building I also owned, but they'd never bothered to visit, so they didn't know. Just like they didn't know about the 12 other properties I owned across California, including the Malibu beach house Dad had just promised to Amanda. I'd bought it 6 months ago. The beach house had been in trouble for a while. Dad and Mom barely used it anymore. Too busy with their lives, too expensive to maintain. The property taxes alone were $70,000 a year. Repairs were mounting. The roof needed replacing. The deck was rotting. Dad had mentioned selling it last Thanksgiving. "Too much of a headache," he'd said. "But it breaks my heart to let it go. It's been in the family so long." 2 weeks later, the listing went up quietly through a private broker. Dad didn't tell anyone, didn't want family drama about who might buy it. I saw the listing the day it posted. I'd been tracking that property for 3 years, ever since I'd started building my real estate portfolio seriously. I knew every inch of that house, every memory attached to it. I made an offer the same day, $3.8 million cash, close in 30 days. The broker nearly fell over himself accepting. Dad never knew it was me. The purchase went through an LLC I'd created, Pacific Coast Holdings. No personal names attached. I'd spent the last 6 months and $400,000 renovating it. New roof, new deck, updated kitchen, modern bathrooms. I'd kept all the character. The whitewashed wood walls, the stone fireplace, the window seat where I used to read as a kid. But I'd made it beautiful. Made it profitable too. I'd listed it on luxury rental sites for $12,000 a week. It was booked solid for the next 8 months. My family had no idea. The phone call came at 7:30 Sunday morning. You bitch. Amanda's voice was so loud I had to pull the phone away from my ear. You absolute bitch. I was making coffee in my kitchen, enjoying the Sunday morning quiet. Good morning to you too, Amanda. Don't good morning me. What the hell did you do? I'm not sure what you mean, I said calmly, pouring my coffee. The beach house, she shrieked. I went there this morning to take measurements for new furniture, and there's a security guard at the gate. He wouldn't let me in. He said the property belongs to someone named Mitchell. Ah, I said. Yes, that would be me. Silence. Complete absolute silence. Then, what do you mean that would be you? I bought the beach house 6 months ago, I said, taking a sip of coffee. Dad sold it through a private listing. I made an offer through my LLC. The sale went through in February. That's impossible, Amanda said. Her voice had gone from screaming to dangerous quiet. You don't have that kind of money. You work at a bookstore. I worked at a bookstore 8 years ago while I was saving money, I corrected. I haven't had a job in 6 years. I own 13 properties now, including the Malibu beach house. My portfolio is worth about $19 million. More silence. You're lying, she finally said. Call the security guard back, I suggested. Ask him to confirm the owner's name. Sophia Mitchell. That's me. I heard rustling voices in the background. Amanda must have put me on speaker because suddenly I could hear Brett too. This is insane, he was saying. She can't possibly. The deed is public record, I interrupted. You can look it up online. Search the Malibu County Assessor's database. 2847 Pacific Coast Highway. Owner, Pacific Coast Holdings LLC, registered agent Sophia Mitchell. More silence. Then I heard typing. Oh my God, Brett said. She's not lying. The deed shows. Dad sold you our beach house? Amanda's voice cracked. He sold you our family home? He sold it to the highest bidder through a private broker, I said. He had no idea it was me. I used my business entity to protect my privacy. But he just announced, in front of everyone, that I was getting the house. Yes, I said. That was awkward, wasn't it? Awkward. Amanda was screaming again. He promised it to me. In front of 200 people. He promised you something he didn't own, I said simply. That's not my problem. You have to sell it to us, Brett said. His voice had that lawyer tone, commanding, expecting compliance. Name your price. We'll match what you paid. I paid $3.8 million, I said. I've put another $400,000 into renovations. The property is currently generating $144,000 a year in rental income. Why would I sell? Because it's family. Amanda shouted. Family, I repeated. Right. Like how you're my family. What's that supposed to mean? It means that for the last 10 years, you've treated me like I'm invisible. Like I don't matter. Like I'm some kind of embarrassment you have to tolerate at holidays. That's not. Last Christmas, you introduced me to your in-laws as my sister who hasn't figured out her life yet, I interrupted. At Mom's birthday, you told everyone I was still trying to find myself. At every family event, you make sure everyone knows I'm the failure and you're the success. I never meant. And now Dad just announced in front of 200 people that he's giving you a $4 million property because you're responsible and successful. Meanwhile, I've been quietly building a $19 million real estate portfolio, and no one in this family has ever bothered to ask about my life. Amanda didn't respond. So no, I continued, I won't sell you the beach house. I'm going to keep renting it out to nice families who appreciate it. I'm going to make a profit. And I'm going to enjoy the irony of the situation. Dad is going to be furious, Brett said. At who? I asked. At me for buying a house that was legally for sale? Or at himself for promising something he no longer owned? I heard muffled voices. They were arguing with each other now, forgetting I was still on the line. I have to go, I said. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I hung up before they could respond. Dad called 20 minutes later. Sophia. His voice was tight. We need to talk. Good morning, Dad. Amanda just called. She's very upset. I imagine she is, I said. She says you bought the beach house. That you own it now. That's correct. Why didn't you tell me? His voice rose. Why didn't you say something before I made that announcement? You didn't ask, I said simply. You've never asked about my life, Dad. Not once in the last 6 years. That's not true. When's the last time you asked about my work? I interrupted. About what I do for a living. About how I support myself. Silence. You haven't, I answered for him. Because you assume you know. You assume I'm still that directionless 22-year-old who dropped out of grad school. You've never considered that I might have built something. Achieved something. Succeeded in ways you didn't expect. If you just told me you were interested in the house. I wasn't interested as your daughter wanting a family heirloom, I said. I was interested as a real estate investor looking for a profitable property in a prime location. I made a business decision. The fact that the property has family history was actually a complication I had to set aside. A complication, Dad repeated. His voice was cold now. Yes, I said. Because that house represents my childhood too, Dad. All those summers you mentioned in your speech. I was there. But somehow in your mind it became Amanda's house. Her memories. Her inheritance. I was erased from that narrative. That's not fair. You just told 200 people that you're giving a $4 million asset to Amanda because she's responsible and successful, I said. What does that say about me? What message does that send? Dad was quiet for a long moment. I didn't mean it that way. Maybe not, I said. But that's how it landed. What do you want me to do? He asked. Nothing, I said. I don't need anything from you, Dad. I own 13 properties. I'm doing fine. Better than fine, actually. I just want you to understand that your assumptions about my life have been wrong for a very long time. 13 properties, he said quietly. 13, I confirmed. Worth about 19 million combined. I started with a small condo 8 years ago. I saved everything from that bookstore job, bought the condo, fixed it up, rented it out. Used the rental income and equity to buy the next property. I've been building steadily ever since. Why didn't you tell us? I tried to, I said. Remember when I bought my second property? I called to share the news. You said, that's nice, and changed the subject to talk about Amanda's promotion. After a few more attempts, I stopped trying. I heard him sigh. Sophia, I have to go, Dad, I interrupted. I have a property manager meeting in an hour. But think about this. You made a promise you couldn't keep because you didn't do your due diligence. You assumed the house was still yours. You didn't check. That's on you, not me. What am I supposed to tell Amanda? Tell her the truth, I said. Tell her the house is gone and she'll have to find her own way. It might actually be good for her. The family group chat exploded within the hour. Messages flew back and forth, most of them about me, very few to me. Amanda, can you believe what Sophia did? This is so typical of her. Mom, I'm very confused. When did you buy the house? Uncle Richard, wait, Sophia owns the Malibu house now? Aunt Susan, how does she have that kind of money? Cousin Jennifer, I heard she's actually really successful. Someone said she owns like a dozen properties. Amanda, that's ridiculous. She works at a bookstore. I muted the chat and went about my day. I had work to do. Monday morning, I got an email from my property manager. The beach house had a new booking. A family from Switzerland wanted it for 3 weeks in August. 21 days at $12,000 per week. $54,000. I approved the booking and smiled. That afternoon Mom called. Can we talk? She asked. Her voice was small. In person? Sure, I said. When? Now. I'm actually outside your building. I looked out my window. Mom's car was parked on the street below. Come up, I said. Unit 3201. When she arrived, her eyes widened as she took in my apartment. The high ceilings, the modern kitchen, the views of the ocean. This is where you live? She asked. Yes. It's beautiful. Thank you, I said. Would you like coffee? We sat on my balcony, cups in hand, looking out at the water. I owe you an apology, Mom said finally. We all do. Hey, I said. We made assumptions about your life. About who you were and what you were doing. And we never bothered to check if those assumptions were true. No, I agreed. You didn't. Dad is devastated, she said. Not about the house, well, partly about the house, but mostly about realizing how wrong we've been about you. He should be devastated, I said. He promised Amanda something he didn't own. That's embarrassing. He wants to make it right. There's nothing to make right, I said. I bought a property. I own it. That's all there is to it. Mom was quiet for a moment. Amanda is talking about not speaking to you anymore. That would require us to be speaking now, I pointed out. We barely interact as it is. You're sisters. Biologically, I said. But we haven't been close in years, Mom. You know that. She nodded slowly. When did it happen? When did you become so successful? Gradually, I said. Over 8 years of hard work, careful investing, and learning everything I could about real estate. I made mistakes. I had properties that lost money. But I kept going. I built something real. And we never noticed. No, I said. You never did. Mom's eyes filled with tears. I'm so proud of you. I should have said it years ago. You should have, I agreed. Can we start over? She asked. Can you give us a chance to really see you this time? I thought about it. About all the years of being overlooked, dismissed, underestimated. About the sting of Dad's announcement and Amanda's entitled expectations. But I also thought about the fact that Mom was here now, trying. Maybe, I said. But things are different now. I'm not the struggling kid who needs saving. I'm successful on my own terms. And I won't be treated like less than Amanda anymore. I understand, Mom said. And the beach house stays mine, I added. Non-negotiable. I understand that too. We sat in silence for a while, drinking coffee and watching the ocean. Will you come to dinner this weekend? Mom asked. Just family. No speeches, no announcements. Just us talking honestly. I'll think about it, I said. She nodded and stood to leave. At the door she turned back. $19 million, she said. That's really what you're worth? Approximately, I said. It fluctuates with the market. She shook her head in wonder. My daughter, the real estate mogul. Your daughter who you thought worked at a bookstore, I corrected gently. Not anymore, she said firmly. I see you now, Sophia. I really do. After she left, I stood on my balcony and looked out at the ocean. Somewhere down the coast was the Malibu beach house. My house now filled with my memories and my future. I'd built an empire in silence. I'd succeeded without their approval or support. And now that they finally saw me, finally understood what I'd accomplished, I wasn't sure I needed their validation anymore. But maybe, just maybe, it would be nice to have it anyway. My phone buzzed. A text from Amanda. We need to talk. Please. I looked at the message for a long moment. Then I typed back, okay. Coffee tomorrow. Your treat. Because I could afford to be generous now. I could afford to give her a chance, give them all a chance to see me as I really was. And if they couldn't? If they went back to their old assumptions and dismissive comments? Well, I'd still have my 13 properties, my $19 million, and the beach house that should have been ours, but was now entirely mine. Sometimes the best inheritance isn't what your family gives you. It's what you build for yourself when they're not looking.